I just wanted to talk about this linear graphing project in a little bit more detail because we could only hit the highlights in class the other day. So the idea is that you're going to be drawing your favorite animal using all linear equations, and you're going to find the equations and put them in Desmos to recreate your drawing on your graph paper. So breaking down the process a little bit, I handed out graph paper in lab the other day. So what you're going to do, I would actually suggest draw freehand or trace a picture of your favorite animal on that graphing paper. I don't care if that animal is real, made up, extinct, mythical, just whatever your favorite animal is. I want you to draw it using at least 10 lines. You can use more, but they have to be at least 10 lines, and all of those lines have to be straight lines. I've shown some examples on the page below here, and I think I even had more examples in class. If you need help finding pictures of your favorite animal using all straight lines, you can look up animal origami instructions. That's where this cute little bunny came from. Or you can look up linear animal tattoo. That's where the monkey came from. So you have your favorite animal drawn on the graphing paper. Then you want to draw in the coordinate axes. You need an X and Y axis. So I would suggest try and find a good place to put these. Try and get your origin to be the start of one, if not more, of your lines, because then you don't have to worry about the y-intercepts for those lines. So draw in your X and Y axis so the origin is at the start of some of your lines. Now that you have your animal on your coordinate axes, what you need to do is you need to find the equation of all of those lines. I want you to find all of those equations in slope-intercept form. I am going to be picky here. I want all of those equations in slope-intercept form, so you need to find the slope, you need to find the y-intercept. I do not care how you find the slope and the y-intercept, as long as your answers are exact, so don't use decimals. They should all be fractions, but find the slope and the y-intercept. You also need to find the domain restrictions, because as you notice in these pictures, these lines don't go on forever. They cut off. This little bunny's ear doesn't stretch on to negative infinity. It cuts off. So you're going to have to find the domain restriction of the two lines that make up the ear. Or you have to find the domain restrictions of the lines that make up your animal. I do want this work to be organized because it's going to be turned in. So you can get a separate sheet of paper out, just organize this work somehow, and label each line. That way I can follow your work as I'm working through and grading and giving feedback on these. However, now that you have all the equations and the domains of your line, you've got them organized right now, now you're going to go to Desmos.com. Desmos.com is a free online graphing calculator, and it's going to allow you to save your graph. So what you can do, you need to create an account in the upper right-hand corner, and once you create an account, if you click this upper left-hand corner, it says sign in to save your graph. So there'll be a sign in button over here. And you should save your graph frequently. Save your graph frequently because you put a lot of work into this, so you don't want to lose it. So to enter your equations into Desmos, say that my equation was y equals 5 halves. I got the fraction just by hitting the division sign. Make sure you move out of your fraction before you hit the x minus, let's do 13 fourths. So there is my equation. I'm going to arrow out. I'm going to right arrow out of my fraction. There's the equation of my line. Problem is there's no domain restriction. To do that, you hit the curly brace. I'm going to cut my domain off from 0. To get less than or equal, I'm going to hit the less than, so shift, comma, followed directly by an equal sign. And Desmos will read that as less than or equal. X less than or equal to 2. And there I have my line cut up. I'm going to finish that with the brace. Now I have my domain restriction in Desmos. If I have a vertical line, so x equals 1, I need to, they actually might be helping me out here. X equals 1 from 2 to 4. Nope, they weren't helping me out. So ignore whatever just popped up there. You want to enter your, it's not going to be a domain restriction in this case. When x equals 2 is a vertical line, you actually have to deal with a domain restriction. So I could say 0 less than or equal to y less than or equal to 4. So just a little note about vertical lines, because those might show up in your graph. It's not a domain restriction for a vertical line. You have to restrict the range. So you'll be entering your equations into Desmos.com. As I've shown you, once you have all those equations entered, it should be an exact replica of the picture you have on your graph paper. If one of your lines extends too far past another, or if your lines don't meet up at a corner or an intersection like they should, you know you need to go back and check the algebra for those lines. So this is great. This is a self-checking project. Finally, once you have your graph done, your animal has been completed and replicated on Desmos, you have your write-up that you need to do. This is an individual report. The whole project is an individual project. So you just need to answer the following questions. I want you to make sure you're answering in complete sentence. Be sure to fully answer the question. I do not need a 19-page reflection. They don't have to be long answers, but just make sure you're fully answering the questions, and they need to be legible and organized. So whether you write these up or type these up, just make sure I can read them. So summarizing the process of finding the equations of the line in your graph. Now, this is not a summary of how you found every single line. That would get really long. Just give me an overview of how you found the lines. One summary of how you found all the lines. All right. You're going to say what challenges did you have to overcome while working on this project? So it could be challenges with the math, like I just had trouble finding the slope. It could be challenges with the project in general, as in I did not start the project early enough. And then how did you work through these challenges? I want to know which mathematical components were you able to do well? Which ones do you feel really confident in? And then this project relates to video animation. So you're going to watch this video at Khan Academy, and I want you to just tell me where in the process this graphing of linear equations falls into the animation process. And then lastly, I just want to know what comments you have. How can I make this project better? So I've attached the rubric as well. So this is out of 20 points. So you can, before you turn this in, you can know about how many points you think you'll get for each of these categories to see what your grade should be about. And the example is attached to your papers, so you can take a look at that and compare and see if your project is going to get similar marks as the example. Hopefully that clears things up. If you still have questions, please contact me through email or come to my office or ask me after class. I will see you all later.